Hi, welcome back to Science 1206, the Chemical Reactions Unit. I'm Ms. Ledwell, and in this video, we'll talk about molecular compounds. Let's begin. What are molecular compounds? Molecular compounds are made when two or more nonmetals share electrons through covalent bonds. For example, this is a molecular compound glucose, and we have three nonmetals, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, that are sharing electrons through covalent bonds. Examples of molecular compounds include glucose, shown here, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen trihydride. Binary molecular compounds are composed of just two different nonmetal elements. For example, we have carbon dioxide here, and carbon dioxide is a molecular compound composed of the nonmetal carbon and the nonmetal oxygen. We have nitrogen trihydride as our second example, and this one's composed of the nonmetals nitrogen and hydrogen. Next, let's talk about naming molecular compounds. Most chemical compounds are recognized by their systematic names, which are set by the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, IUPAC. IUPAC is an organization that establishes global naming conventions for chemicals, ensuring consistency among scientists. The systematic name of a chemical tells us its composition. This name also helps scientists determine its formula and predict some of its physical and chemical properties. Some molecular compounds are commonly referred to by their traditional names instead of their scientific ones. For instance, H2O is widely known as water rather than dihydrogen monoxide. You should be familiar with common molecular formulas and their traditional names. These are the ones you should know, which are outlined in this table. Our first example is O with the subscript 3, and the traditional name of this is ozone. Next, we have CH4. The traditional name of that is methane. H2O, you're probably familiar with, is water. NH3 is ammonia. H2O2, you should know, is commonly referred to as hydrogen peroxide. C6H12O6 is glucose. And C12H22O11 is sucrose. For these 7 examples, you need to learn the traditional names. When we name molecular compounds using their IUPAC names, which is most compounds, prefixes are used. This is different when naming ionic compounds, which do not use prefixes. So molecular compounds use prefixes, ionic compounds do not. You will need to remember the prefixes, which are listed in this table. So the prefix for 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri. I remember that one, like tricycle has 3 wheels. 4 is tetra. 5 is penta. 6 is hexa. 7 is hepta. 8 is octa, like an octopus has 8 legs. 8 is octa. 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. Let's look at some notes about naming binary molecular compounds. The first thing we need to note is that if there is only one atom of the first element in a compound, you don't need to add mono before its name. For example, CO is named carbon monoxide. We don't say monocarbon monoxide. However, if there's only one atom of the second element, you must use the mono prefix. For example, SO is sulfur monoxide, not sulfur oxide. So again, don't use mono if the first element contains only one, but you do use mono if the second element contains only one. Also, it's important to note that when a prefix that ends in a vowel like mono or penta is in front of oxide, you drop the ending vowel in the prefix. For example, it is monoxide, not monooxide, and we write pentoxide, not pentaoxide. So we have monoxide, not monooxide. Now that we've gone through those few notes on naming compounds, it's time to continue on to the next video where we'll do some practice. Before you do, pause for a brief moment and stretch.